Good morning, good afternoon, guys, and a very happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you are having a good day today. I know for you guys out there, obviously in the US, it is Memorial Day. So my deepest respects and best wishes to everybody who served, and my thanks to you guys. Before we jump in and say hello to everybody, let me welcome my co-host for this morning. It is the one and only Brandon the Anime Guy. How are you doing?
Oh, stupid me. I left my mic muted. I'm sorry about that. I am doing most excellent. Thank you so very much for having me today. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and yes, today is Memorial Day. It is about those that did not come back from the various conflicts that we have been involved in throughout the years. Primarily this day, if I remember correctly, it was originally Armistice Day, and it had to deal with those who did not come back from World War One, and since then, from World War II and on up, it got changed to Memorial Day. So, to all of those who served, thank you, and to all those who did not return, we salute you, and we hope that you were greeted in the halls of Valhalla or whatever type of heaven that you believed in. Because anybody that's willing to serve and sacrifice for their fellow man, no greater thing can be done than that.
Absolutely. Well said, guys. Well said. And let me say hello to our awesome chat this morning. So we have got Salty Texas C. Good morning, love. Great to see you. We've got Psycho Dwarf 9. Always a pleasure. Hope you are doing well today. And we have a brand new member who has joined us. So let me give a very warm welcome to Unbearable 73. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Let's see who else we have with us. We've got D-Bud Martin, good morning. We have got Gum Bunny, hello sweetheart, good to see you. Let's see, let me scroll up. Ren Zero, good afternoon. Low Spec Linux Laptop, good morning to you, good to see you. We've got our favourite polar bear, Snorterpoopus, hello.
Snow Bear!
We've got Jaden Hamilton. Good morning. Great to see you as always. We've got the awesome Dovi. Let me see if I can pronounce it correctly. Doviande Tovia Seguin. Great to see you. Good morning.
Boy, I couldn't do that. I'll just say hello, Dovey, because my brain doesn't work that well. Good to see you.
And good morning to MB Geek. Let's talk. Great to see you. Good morning. He'll be joining me on Wednesday, so looking forward to that. Let's see make sure I'm not missing anybody. Jim the Viking. Good afternoon, love. And nearsighted Cyclops. And I think we had Leia Rose and Kelly Chow in earlier. Hey guys, good morning. And D Nice Gamer. Great to see you guys. Welcome. So we were kind of talking back and forth over the weekend and trying to come up with something that would be kind of fun and interesting to talk about on Monday, because it's been a little bit slow. A lot of people are talking, we've talked about Stranger Things, and a lot of people are really enjoying that, and people are talking about Kenobi and not enjoying that as
much. Oh Lord, I've blown a gasket twice over that now, so yeah.
Absolutely. But what I thought and what Brandon suggested would be fun to talk about is kind of love of cinema. And we've done a couple of shows over the past few weeks where we have talked about anniversary films that are being released. We talked about The Thing, which is upcoming. We've talked about films that we're really excited for, like Wrath of Khan, which is coming, I think it's September, if I remember correctly. But it seems like a lot of people don't realize what a fantastic lineup is coming, and this is all coming from Fathom Events.
Ah, yes, Fathom Events, the premium event coordinator for if your theater, if you have a theater. Let me change that into a little better parlance. If you have a cinema that is partnered with Fathom Events, you owe it to yourself to go to one of these, because the lineup that they've had for the first half of this year has been nothing short of astounding, best movies ever made, some of the greatest movies ever made in certain genres, you know, cultural events, sporting events. They do it all. And it's so much fun. It really is. And let me just say real quick. Last year, at the very end of the year, they had My Neighbor Totoro being shown on its anniversary for the first time in theaters in a very long time. It's like 20, 25, 30 years, something like that. Anyways, it's an old movie now. My
Mm-hmm.
girls have seen it. I hadn't seen it, but our local event theater was showing it, so we went and saw it, and it was one of the funnest times that I had in the theater in a very long time. It really was a lot of fun.
I love that. I was going to ask, did they enjoy it? Because I know this is a film that
Oh
you
yeah.
really enjoyed, and to be able to kind of to bring your kids with you and to share that with them, I'm guessing that was a really special event.
Yes, yes, it was. They really did enjoy it. They liked the movie, and I had never seen it all the way through. I've only seen parts of it, but to be able to share it with them on the big screen was one of the highlights of the year. It really was.
Oh, that's lovely. And I know I'll bring it up in a minute. And Gun Bunny has mentioned too that are upcoming. So we've got things like The Wizard of Oz, which is amazing. There's so many people that will obviously would have never seen that film up on the big screen. Goonies, which is I think it's fair to
Hmm.
say, a cult classic. People absolutely love that film. But there is just so much upcoming. And I'll bring up the schedule in just a minute. But before I do, let me say a very good morning and a huge thank you to the one and only Cardinal Sin. Great to see you. Thank you, love. Let me just quickly check. See.
Whoop whoop
Whoop whoop.
whoop whoop. Game controller. What what?
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Cardinal Sin. Uh, Great to see you this morning and a fantastic show that you had recently. So, really good to see you. Good morning and thank you so much. We've
Yeah.
got a few more people that have joined as well. We've got Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast. Great to see you. A very good morning to Zax, who has had one of his videos go viral overnight. So proud of him, guys. If you haven't checked that out, Zax did a take reviewing RRR. I believe on one of his panels. I think Paulie was there and Salty Texas was there, and I believe you were there as well, Brandon.
Yep. I was there. That was from the live stream that we did last week. So yeah, that's excellent that particular clip has gone viral, because I had never heard of that movie. I do remember seeing Polly post up stuff about it, but never
Mhm.
clicking into it or seeing it or catching it live. But that movie, it has an anime feel to it as far as how the stunt work is done and the coordinations and everything, and it just looks like a riot.
Absolutely. And let me just say a massive thank you as well to MB Geek Let's Talk, who has sent us a membership milestone. He's been with us for over 15 months now, so thank you. He says Top Gun was a great movie. Love the story, pace, acting, writing. It's like they went to Cobra Kai School of how to make a continuation. Oh, that's fantastic. Everybody who
Yes.
has seen this film has said that it's fantastic, that they've gone away with a big smile on their face. So I'm hoping to see it, if not tomorrow, then perhaps Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely see it. Don't hesitate to see it. It's definitely worth it. I was supposed to see it at 7 o'clock on Saturday with my daughter. I had her this weekend because it's Memorial Day and it's my year for her, and it was sold out when we tried to buy tickets, so we had to wait till 10.
Wow. And how many times do you see that nowadays at cinemas?
Not very often, or at least not with this one. This particular cinema, it has a what they call a big D, so it's a bigger format
Mhm.
screen, and this particular seating will hold over 500 people. So that's a pretty, for where I live, that's a ton of people for just one sitting. It really is.
That's a pretty big, yeah, theatre. That's impressive. Are you somebody, before we kind of really get into the details, that always enjoyed going to the cinema? Have you always, is this something that you've always done kind of growing up? Was it something that's was part of your family as well? Because you've obviously, you have that love when you brought your kids to see the films too.
I do remember going a few times as a kid, but it was pretty rare. Um, let's see. At that time, what my dad did for work, he made good money, but the amount of time that we had to devote to something like that wasn't as much as it is for other people. So I do remember going to see Jurassic Park when it first came out. I do remember that. But
Yes, I do as well. Uh,
but I remember going to our drive-in several times before it became defunct and wasn't kept up, back in the 90s. But that was the last one that I remember as a family going to see. I'm pretty sure
mhm,
we saw other ones, but they weren't as good. But my love of cinema really kicked in when I was a teenager, and I started working when I was 16 and have my own money, and it was nice to be able to go, go with my friends and go see movies. But in '99, I went to the theaters a lot. That was the year I graduated, but that was also
mhm,
the year that The Matrix came out, Toy Story 2 came out,
mhm.
Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me came out. Just a slew of great films in various genres that are just, they were top notch, and a few of them that are still top notch to this day.
Hmm. Do you think that eventually we will get back to that? Because I remember going to cinemas, and depending on the film, you would have queues out the door. People waiting to get into these showings. You think back to when we had the Star Wars prequels, and just the excitement of people queuing up. And you mentioned Jurassic Park, exactly the
Hmm.
same. One of the biggest theaters that I went to was a showcase cinema, and we had queues out into the car park of people wanting to go. The same with Titanic. We had so many big blockbuster films. We were almost sport for choice.
Yeah, in years past, we did have tons of movies, and I do remember certain summers over the 2000s having no weeks off from going to theaters because of how many great films, or at least uh, serviceable films, there were. So so yeah, it's as far as will we capture that again? I don't believe so. I think that there are enough people that are mentally scarred from everything that's happened over the past 3 years or so that
Hmm.
they just won't do that. Now, doesn't mean that they may not do it once in a while, but as far as a consistent, no, no. Pardon me there. Uh, I was actually kind of shocked that my theater did sell out that showing. That really did surprise me, but yeah, it happens every once in a while. I get surprised.
Yes, and that's a shame because I think people are missing out, but it does seem to be the case. I'm thinking back to the most recent films that I went to, and went to see the new Nick Cage film, which was a lot of fun, but it was almost empty. Even The Northman, and this was a Friday night when we went to see it. No, it was a Thursday night because it actually launched early for us, and it was about half full. I was
Hmm.
very, very disappointed. I thought that this sort of film would be something that kind of caught people's imaginations and attention, but it didn't, unfortunately. And I think with what we've gone through, I think that's preying on a lot of people's minds. But at the same time, there does seem to be a lot of people that do want to go back to the cinema, but
Yeah.
the films that we have at the moment are not ones that are kind of enticing them, which is why something like these Fathom events seem to be working so incredibly well.
Yeah, absolutely, or at least they should. When you talk about the Northman, it was about the same thing. Not very many people there, but I think part of that had to deal with the marketing strategy. And marketing for a movie has changed drastically since ever since the rising of streaming, and of course the various twatterverses that are out there. It's it's a little harder to really truly advertise a show compared to how it used to be when we just had linear TV services where they could just pay for advertising and just do a TV blitz and have it work. But yeah, that's just where that's at. Plus, I don't think it helps that we're here in the U.S. Whether or not anybody wants to admit it or not, we are heading into a recession. Money is tighter, inflation is killing us, and the
Hmm.
cost of going to the theater is a lot higher than it was, massively higher than it was compared to your income just even from 2018, just 5 years. And, we could, even when I was making less, I could afford to take the kids and my wife to go see a movie back in 2018 a lot easier than I can now, even though
Yeah.
I'm making almost twice as much as I was. So
It isn't a cheap night out, unfortunately, and
no,
that
no, it
I
isn't.
think that is what part of the problem. You think it's not just the tickets, it's parking for a lot of places. It's snacks if you want to have anything to eat. The price of popcorn is ridiculously high considering how
Hmm.
cheap it is to make. But yeah, it just makes a big difference. But I always like the type of cinemas that you guys have where it's a more kind of personal experience. So I
Hmm.
think it's Alamo, if I remember correctly, where you can actually have a sit down meal, and you're not
Yeah.
just kind of like snacks, but you can have a pizza or you can have a drink, and really make this a experience rather than just sit down and watch a film.
Yeah. And, yeah, the Alamo down in Texas is one of them that's that way. There are a few cinemas in Utah that are that way, that you could order a full-fledged meal and have it served to you. I don't know if they do alcohol because it's Utah, but they approach it. But even here in Idaho, on my side of the state, my AMC theater, before the coof, they were starting to roll out, hot dogs, pizzas, more cafeteria type of easy serve food, but they were doing it. And
Hmm.
the local theater that is owned locally that I really love, it's called the Blackfoot Movie Mill. That place, they do serve a delicious Nathan's hot dog. They have their own pizza, and we've tried them, and they were delicious. And what's best about that place, you get your reserved seating. Their theaters aren't super big, but they're reasonably sized. They do have one or two bigger ones, but they're only $5 for a matinee, seven for for regular time new releases, and the cost of getting a popcorn and a drink for two is only like $6.
Okay,
They're
that's
dirt cheap,
much
but
better.
their stuff is so much better than what is done at the AMC or even at the what's the other one? The Edwards theater
Mhm.
up north of that place. So, but unfortunately, they're not a Fathom event coordinator. Otherwise, I'd be living there pretty much most every day of the week. Because for me, it's only 1 gallon of diesel to get there, or half a gallon in the van to get to this location. And with where I live out in the country right now, it's about equal distance to go back to my hometown versus going to Blackfoot. So
Mhm. That's crazy. I was going
it
to ask
is.
you. The next question was, do they do Fathom events? That's a shame, but
I wish
maybe,
they did,
maybe in
but
the future,
unfortunately, no.
perhaps.
Yeah. But yes, the Fathom event lineup. Oh man, oh man. You want to talk about classics that they have shown this year, classics that they still have to show, anime that they're going to be showing live for the first time, things like that. Holy cow. It's loaded.
It's impressive, absolutely, and I'll pull it up and we can go through some of these amazing films. But before we do, let me say a massive thank you to Salty Texas, who sends us a popcorn sticker. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And we've also got a member milestone from Unbearable73. Thank you, love. He says, the chosen there have been, at least outside of New York, New Jersey, and California, a massive resurgence in drive-in theaters across the US. The movie experience may just be different.
Yeah. And that's great. And excuse me. As I said, our drive-in theater that we had here when I was a kid, it went defunct years ago, so it didn't get rebuilt. But there were two in a town called Idaho Falls, and I think the one was for sale, and the other one had some wind damage. But they still have them, and in some of the smaller communities, they still have them, and that's what they do. And it's different than it was years ago where you had to, get the little speaker that was tied to the thing and put it in. Most of them just broadcast it now, or they just tell you to load up a program on a smartphone or something similar to that to be able to do that. So
Yes, and I've talked about this in the past. I just really love the idea of drive-ins. I thought that that would have been something that would have had a massive kind of resurgence
Hmm.
given what we've gone through, because it would have made perfect sense. People, they're in their own cars, they're not mixing with people, especially here in the UK. It could have been set up in a field or in one of these mass car parks that we have, and it would have made just perfect sense. But it just wasn't something that they jumped on, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true.
Let me say a very big thank you to Manowar 665, Neighbour of the Beast with 665. Thank you, love. He says, with Star Trek, what's it?
The motion picture.
Oh, the motion picture. Ah, yeah, I forgot that that one has just been out, hasn't it? Done.
Yes.
The old lady and I are already booked for Smokey and the Bandit, Wizard of Oz, The Thing, and Wrath of Khan. Reject modernity. Yes. Oh my
Yes, reject
gosh.
maternity. I'm gonna get you, you bandit some bitch. I love that movie. I remember seeing that as a kid, and I don't know if that's something that I should have seen that early, but oh, you want to talk about Jackie Gleason just hamming it up there at the end of his life? Oh, that is such a good movie, and it's hard to believe that it's 45 years old this year.
It's crazy, and just kind of going through what the lineup is, I didn't realize how old some of these films are, and honestly, it's made me feel kind of old. So let me
Don't tell me about it.
bring this up, and we can have a look at some of them. So absolutely. So this is the upcoming events, starting from June. So as you correctly said, we have got the 45th anniversary of Smokey and the Bandit. That is
Hmm.
crazy. Great film. I honestly, I can't remember the last time I saw it, so I think I obviously won't be able to see it, on the big screen, but I think it does need a rewatch. Such a good film.
Yes, it is, and that was Burt Reynolds at his peak. He had the stash, the 70s look. He had the muscle car in there, and of course, his partner in crime was Jerry Reed, the country singer and all that. It was just
Hmm.
a perfect movie, and of course, Jackie Gleason. I'm gonna have to smack your mama when we get home, Junior. Oh, he was just so brilliant as that Texas lawman. Fast cars, fast times, and
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 mustaches
bootleg
for
beer.
days. Yes.
Yeah, and stashes for days. You wouldn't think that at that time that beer distribution was something that was so segregated, but it was. It was
Hmm.
shocking what they were doing at that time was illegal. You could not get Coors into Georgia or over further south because of how things were set up. It was weird as hell. Let's just put it that way. Weird as hell.
It's almost heading back towards prohibition. It was getting silly.
Yeah, in certain respects it was. But yeah, Smokey and the Bandit, excellent. And then the second one they have on here, which is Fortune Favors Lady Nikuko, that
Yes.
is a slice of life show that's just brand new and it's a little different. I think
I've never heard of
uh,
this. Yeah.
if you like slower paced anime or the slice of life realist anime type show, that would be it. So I can't wait to see that one. I won't be able to see that in the theater, but I do plan on checking it out once it hits one of the streamers or it becomes available for purchase.
Hmm. I was going to ask, were you familiar with this? Because this doesn't ring a bell at all to me. But that's not a bad thing. That just means that they've got such a fantastic range, and not just look at even the top row. We're going from Smoking the Bandit to anime to Hamlet, but not just Hamlet, a opera version of Hamlet.
Yeah. Yes. The Metropolitan Opera presents Hamlet. That I saw the preview for that. It's out there. But then again, the Met is also out there, but they're also one of the higher class type of societal. What's the word? They're pretty much it as far as peakness goes. But the Met does put on great operas. So if you like Hamlet and if you like going to the opera but can't go to the opera, there you go. So yeah, that
Absolutely.
would be an interesting one to see.
That would be, for a little bit of slice of culture. I think that would be a really interesting thing to actually go do, because I've seen Hamlet on the stage, but never this sort of version. So I think that's actually fascinating to see. Uh, Salty brings up a very good suggestion. Watch this space, guys. So big thank you to Salty for that one. And we have got a couple more super chats as well. So let me
Yes, we
get
do.
those. So let me say a massive thank you to Jim the Viking. He sent us a £10 super chat. Thank you. He says, I would strongly suggest you all look into having a home cinema, not just for streaming services, but for your great old classics. Being able to have a big screen is well worth the investment. You know
Oh,
what? I
yes.
absolutely agree. I would love to have a spare room that I could set up as a home cinema, a proper projector, speakers, really comfy seats. That would be amazing, because I do have a pretty good, well, reasonably good physical media collection, but you can always add to it.
Absolutely, and having the space to set up a properly proportioned home theater is tough with a lot of homes. And I used to actually work in consumer electronics and sold things like that in dedicated home theater systems. I've always had a higher end, or at least for me, a higher end surround sound and a good sized screen, but never owned a projection system. To get the higher end stuff of that does cost a bit, but if you've got the finances to do it, it is well worth it. So absolutely.
Absolutely. Great suggestion. And a big thank you also to Ren Zero. Great to see you as always. He says, rise in home cinema tech has also been a factor in people not in a rush to head back to the cinema. You need a really big film to go to cinema now, in my opinion. I would agree with that. And
Hmm.
I'm a lot more kind of selective about what I go see. That's definite. But if it's a film that, I have, think that I will enjoy, I'm gonna go. And I really did miss, these past couple of years being in the cinema. I just really love the experience. You go with friends, family, and even if you go alone, there's just something about being in a cinema that's it's a really fun experience usually.
Yeah, that one's kind of a mixed bag. There are certain people, or I would say probably younger people, that don't go as much as they would have, or as often as their parents did. But when I think about it, like with my folks, before all the was happening, they would go
Hmm.
to the theater at least once a week, at least, even though they had a 80 plus inch TV, and they had one of the sound systems that I had purchased but couldn't use at the time. I had given it to them and had it all set up. So they have that premium higher level home theater setup, but do they use it? No. They prefer to go to the cinema. I think part of it is an age thing, and
Hmm.
part of it is what you're comfortable with. And let's face it, my dad loved the popcorn. He loves the popcorn from the theater, and he doesn't want to make it himself at home.
To be fair, there is something about theatre popcorn that just tastes better. I don't know whether it's because it's been sitting out for a while, or whether they. I know you guys, I think, you use actual butter on your popcorn, if I remember correctly. Ours is this kind of like
I have no
artificial
idea.
sweetener, but yeah, it
Yeah.
just tastes better, and Coke tastes better, and those hot dogs that they sell taste better. It's just for some reason, so you can sort of justify the price, but only just.
Yes. The next show on here is a big one, The Wizard of Oz. This year, Judy
Yes.
Garland would have turned 100.
Hmm. Are
So,
you a fan of Wizard of Oz? Because a
oh,
lot of
yes.
people, they have very strong feelings for it. Some people really hate musicals, but they still love the Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz it's top 5 if not top 3. And
Really?
it really did set the standard for how a musical should be done, but also just a story in general. Now, there's tons of stories that float around this show as far as the production of it, how Judy was treated, things like that, which of course is unfortunate, but not surprising for the times. And it's Hollywood. Hollywood has always been Holly weird. In a lot of ways, they always have been.
Hmm.
But as far as the quality of the film, yeah, it it really is top-notch quality, and considering the time that it was made, all the special effects that were done, it was great. Plus, the flying butt monkeys always scared the crap out of me.
Those are freaky things, but
Yes, they are.
they are incredibly well done, and obviously the lady that played the witch, because she was so convincing. I remember stories of her. Was it Margaret Hamilton, if I remember correctly, her name?
Oh, I don't know.
Having to be, she was on, I think it was the Muppet Show, and she they had to kind of tone it down because she scared the kids.
That wouldn't surprise me, even in her old age, scaring the kids. Probably worse then.
But a
Yes.
fantastic film, absolutely, I agree. And I'm mixed when it comes to musicals. There's some that I really like. There's some that I can't stand. But yeah, The Wizard of Oz, I think, is an absolute classic. And
Yes.
yeah, crazy.
And then looking at some more of these, Forever Golden, a celebration of the Golden Girls. That's just basically a base documentary that they've done. They had earlier in the year the thing for Betty White, her 100th birthday, that they still
Yes.
showed even though she had passed. So, and then one of the freakiest, most out there movies I have ever seen. When I was in high school, I had a film appreciation class, and the first thing that we tapped into was the horror genre. This is the one I chose, and man, you want to, you can go and you can watch your Psychos, you can watch your Frankensteins, you can watch, your slasher flicks. Whatever happened to Baby Jane freaked me the fart out. Holy cow. Let me try that again. It freaked me the out.
Nice use of sound effects. That's great. But,
oh yes, I finally stepped up my game a little bit. So, but yeah, it's out there. Plus, it's got Betty Davis, and she's just always a little out there. And same with Joan Crawford.
Yes. And if you know the backstory of this film, the rivalry between the two actresses, they weren't acting. They hated each other. They absolutely despised each other. I've read books, and there's quotes where they're sniping at each other and making snide comments, and it comes across in the film, obviously because they play two sisters, at odds with each other. But yeah, the hatred is real and it is raw.
Yes, it is, and it really comes through. So that would be a good one, and that one's a TCM. That is the one thing I will say about Turner Classic Movies. They really have pushed this type of thing to the forefront. And then, so yeah,
Yes,
if you haven't seen that movie, just be prepared.
It's intense considering it's 60 years old. But the other thing that I really like is that they actually spread the dates out. So if you miss it one day, you can see it a couple of days later, and that's a big thing when we come down to things down here as well. So it's not a one and done thing with a lot of these films, which I think is a really good idea.
Yeah. The other thing that Fathom Events does, besides, these classic movies, they do a lot of the documentaries, but they do a lot of the documentaries that typically don't get a standard theatrical release because of either the subject matter being too touchy, or the person being, for lack of a better term, canceled because of their religious beliefs. Specifically with Kirk Cameron presenting the Homeschool Awakening. Homeschooling in this country has absolutely skyrocketed, even after the COOF restrictions being lifted, just because of all the stuff that has been exposed of what's going on in the schools, because of kids being on Zoom calls, parents seeing what's going on, the libs of TikTok expositions of what people themselves are doing on TikTok, what they're admitting to on TikTok. So if this is something that you've thought about, or if you've got younger kids, or you're thinking about it, this might be something of interest to you. But this is how wide and varied they are with what they're doing, and that's what makes Fathom Events great.
Absolutely, yes. And this isn't something that we have a lot of in the UK. We don't do a lot of homeschooling, but you're absolutely right. Just kind of spending some time on Twitter and seeing how many people are saying that homeschooling is a fantastic idea. It's get your kids out of state school. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, well, homeschooling, if you can do it, is definitely it's better in a lot of ways. Unless you don't want to be around your kids, then it doesn't help. But then this week, Thursday, June 16th, Macross Frontier, The False Songstress, a new Macross movie. Yes! For those who know, you know.
I was going to ask, is this a new film or is this one that's been out before?
Yes. This is
So
new. This
that
is
is
new in the
interesting.
Macross saga.
So
So
I'm
yeah,
guessing that
that's
this is something that anime fans are really excited for.
they should be, and if they're not, they need to go out and see it. And then of course, next to it you got The Thing. I actually just saw that for the first time with Snow last October, and I love The Thing. I hate horror films in general. I love The Thing.
It is a brilliant movie. I've talked about it, and I've talked about it lucky with Snowdub, because I know he is a huge fan and very
Oh,
knowledgeable about it.
massive.
But this is one of those films that you have to see, and I am absolutely so excited that it's on the big screen. This is going to be
Yes.
fantastic. So,
And
and
then
we've got a couple of
yes.
days as well for that one.
And then G.I. Joe, the 35th anniversary of the movie.
35 years.
Yes.
I feel old.
Yeah, me too. I remember when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing it on VHS after it came out.
Had the same reaction when they had the Transformers back on the big screen for that anniversary. It's like, wow.
Yes.
Where does
Yes,
the time
it is.
go?
Unfortunately, G.I. Joe didn't get the same release that that Transformers got, precisely because of what they did in Transformers. So
Yes.
Marvel, as it was constituted at that time, scaled it back, unfortunately.
They did, and they also had to make a very quick change to part of the story, if I remember correctly, because of the backlash from the Transformers film. It scared the hell out of them.
Yep, it did, and they shouldn't have done it. They should have kept the sacrifice in place, but they didn't. And then, for you Ghibli people out there, The Cat Returns, 20th anniversary. Yes, Studio Ghibli at its finest. And this one was actually directed by let's see, I can't read the title. There we go. A little bigger here. Hideyukari Morita, as opposed. So this is one of the other people that works closely with Miyazaki. This is his film. But The Cat Returns is a good one.
I haven't seen this one, actually. I've seen it obviously in the lineup, but this is one of the few Studio Ghibli films that I've never seen. Would you recommend it?
Oh, absolutely. Any Studio Ghibli film, any movie that they do is worth seeing in the theater. So yeah, I would check it out.
I will add that to my list. There's a couple that I would love to see. Obviously, I like to see My Neighbor Totoro up on the big screen, and I would love to see Howl's Moving Castle as well, because that's one of my favorites.
Yes, and then we've got The Fifth Element. It's hard to believe that that one's 25 years old. That is such an excellent 90s sci-fi film, about one of the only ones that's worth a damn.
Yes, that surprised me. I didn't realize it was coming up on the 25th anniversary, but it shouldn't be too surprising, because I know if I don't think it's this year, but it might be next year. We've got the, I think, 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park coming up as well. And yeah, it's crazy to think these films don't seem old, especially films with great special effects, but because they've aged so well. But yeah, time flies.
That it does. That it does.
I just want to say a very big thank you once more to Salty Texas Sea, who sent us another awesome super sticker, and this time it's a slice of pie. That's so cool. Thank you so much, Salty. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So yeah, Fifth Element, and then looking at the end of this month, if you like the NASTARDs, you've got Rowdy, which has the story of Kyle Busch, and yeah, he's a bit of a rowdy guy compared to most of the drivers. But then we have Macross Frontier, The Wings of Farewell. It's like a part 2 to the False Songstress part 1. So we've got new Macross, and that's what's important.
Yes, and that's, I didn't realize how popular it was, but I've heard you talk about it, and it's one of the ones that I know you've recommended as well. So I might have to look into this and add this to my ever-growing list.
Yes. Yeah, Fifth Element, that would be. Now that I think about it, I did see that in the theater, and it'll be worth seeing again on a premium screen as opposed to how I saw it here in where I live. It wasn't premium. It was premium at the time, but it's sad now.
Hmm. And this is just June, guys. We haven't even got
Yeah.
into the really what's coming up in July. So let's scroll through a few more of these. So the Deer
Yeah. Well, what's
King,
funny is they don't have their full month filled out. They keep
they
adding
don't.
stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, for July, the Deer King. This one I've never heard of, so I don't know. But just looking at that still, I think I'd see it. I think I would.
I think it looks pretty cool. I was going to ask, are you familiar with it? I've never heard of it, I've got to admit, but that's not too surprising. But yeah, it looks cool, so
That it
that's an
does.
interesting one. We've got the 50th anniversary of Cabaret. Are you a
Yep.
Cabaret fan?
I've never seen it, but I should have. So I'll have to hop on and watch it. I probably won't be able to go see it in the theater, but I definitely need to see it because it's one of them that everybody should see.
Hmm. I've seen it, but not for a very long time. So I probably wouldn't see it at the cinema, but I probably would, be willing to rewatch it. And yeah, but that Jimby says Mila Jokovic is a goddess. No arguments
Multipass,
here.
multipass. Then some of the stuff that the Met's putting on, and let's see, National Treasure Live. So we've got the Merry Widow. We
Hmm.
have Prima Facie. I probably butchered
Hmm.
that, but then Madame Butterfly.
Madame Butterfly, so good.
Yes.
Yes, that is one. If you're going to see at the Met, yes,
And
Madame
then for
Butterfly.
And then for Gun Bunny, there's Kiki's Delivery Service. That one is a good one. And let's see, that one was done by Miyazaki. So
Yes, and that's a really cute one. I forgot all about Kiki's delivery service, but I thought that was really sweet. I like that one a lot. Yeah, and there's actually a few dates for Kiki's delivery service, so we've got three
yep.
dates with that
They've got their
coming up.
3 dates, their 1 week engagement. And then let's see. So the Mets got Le Baume and La Fille du Regiment. I think I probably butchered the crap out of those in my French pronunciation, but oh well. And then only yesterday, that one. Oh, let's see who did that one. Isa, yeah, Isa Takahata, and that one is a new one.
I was going to say, is this one that you're familiar with?
No, actually, now
No?
that I look at it closer, this one was done in '91. No,
Oh,
this
okay.
one, this is one of those more obscure ones, so that'll be fun to check out.
That's interesting. So, as we can see, this through 2022, this is a whole Studio Ghibli fest that they're showing, and no doubt as we scroll down, there's going to be more. But this, I think, is the big one for a lot of people.
Khan,
Uh,
the real Star Trek. Ah, yes,
now
that one I
this,
will go and see.
yes, I was going to say this one I would actually love to see on the big screen. I've seen it obviously multiple times in the past, but to see it on the big screen, yes,
Yep,
such a good film.
that it is. It's hard to believe that it's 40,
Hmm.
and then the motion picture was 42 or that, but
Hmm.
having it being redone in 4K the way that it was is awesome. And of course, this one has the director's cut has received the 4K treatment that you can currently buy. So yeah.
Yes, you were talking about the 4K treatment. You said it looked incredible.
Oh yes, it did. Even on let me just say this. I typically don't pay for streaming. I did pay for 1 month of Paramount Minus a while ago. I canceled it through my Crapple device, and lo and behold, they still haven't restricted my access to it, so I was able to check it out.
I won't tell them if you don't.
Yeah, yeah, you lied. I exaggerated. And
And
hello to everyone who's shown up.
good morning, guys. Great to see you. We've got a few more friends joining. We've got Blaine's Escape Corner. Great to see you. TZ Burton, hello. And Mech1164, welcome. Great to see you guys.
Yes, most excellent to see everyone here today. And thank you for being here on your, for most of us anyways, on your day off from work.
Yes, absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. So that is definitely a big one. And moving down, one that I would love to see on the big screen, Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
No, I know you said you're not a big horror fan, but
I will not see this.
really?
I will not. I've seen parts of it, and to this day, it still freaks me the. Hold on. It still freaks me the out. It really does. You know, there are just certain movies, certain horror films that just hit those right notes, even though it's only PG in its rating. Ooh, the subject, when you start dealing with things of the occult nature and start dealing with things revolving around Luciferian practices, I have to draw a line, and I can't do it. I can't do it. But I will see Howl's Moving Castle, because that movie is awesome.
Yes, I would see both of them if I could see them back to back. That would be amazing because I love both of these films. But yeah, there's something about Poltergeist. I think it's because it's supposed to be very mundane family, very normal family, and that's I think pretty much like The Exorcist. That's where the believability and the horror comes in. I think it's a great film. I think it's fantastic. But,
yeah, it's just
not
not for me.
everyone's cup of tea.
Not for me.
But Howl's Moving
Yes.
Castle we would always recommend. I think it's fantastic, both the film and the book. Absolutely.
Yes, it's well worth your time, and definitely if you haven't purchased it, Ghibli has been putting out steelbook Blu-ray collectors of all of them, so definitely check them out. They're well worth it. And then yeah. Yes, I appreciate the concurrence with me. And then into October, we have some interesting ones. You know, The Redemption of an American Icon is a new documentary about Johnny Cash, and just reading its byline, it talks about him as he was in his struggle to get clean, and him, in the 70s, he had fallen pretty hard, and he had to basically decide, did he want to stick with the cocaine blues, or did he want to keep to his faith, the faith of his fathers? He eventually chose the faith, and everything about him just skyrocketed and continued on until his death.
Absolutely. And everybody that I know, loves Johnny Cash, and rightly so.
Yes.
He really is an American icon, and his story is fascinating. If you've ever seen the film that had Joaquin Phoenix play him, even though he didn't particularly look like Johnny Cash, I thought that was actually a really good film.
He sounded pretty close to him. Pretty close.
He sounded pretty close. Yeah. So we'll give him a pass. But this actually sounds fascinating. So that's one that I would be interested in, and I really do like documentaries, I've got to admit.
Yeah, and that's what makes Fathom awesome, is they do a lot of these documentaries, and it's just a 3-night engagement. But if you love Johnny Cash, or if you're interested in his life and how he struggled with things and how he overcame them, this is going to be a good one. So, but yeah, I love Johnny Cash. I really do. Pretty much anybody in his orbit from around that time. You've got Elvis, you've got Jerry Lee Lewis, you've got all of the highwaymen that eventually joined him in doing the Highwaymen albums. So singers like I can see him, Willie Nelson. Then you have the one guy from Jerry. Was it? It's not Jerry Lewis. That was in Smokey and the Bandit. The one that was also a country singer, Jerry Reed. Then you had Waylon Jennings. And then there have been other people that have popped in and out, like Chris Christopherson. Those albums, if you don't like country, that's fine. But you need to hear those albums because they're great. And anything revolving around Johnny Cash, even though he was more of the country-ish style, there's a reason why he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because what he was doing was more rock and roll in a lot of ways than country. So Johnny Cash, you can't go wrong. And then you cannot go wrong with Sidney Poitier in The Heat of the Night. That is an awesome film, and so poignant, and even more so today than I think even then. It just goes to show how certain things that shouldn't come around again do, but we have films like this that did come out the first time to basically show that, yes, they call me Mr. Tibbs. He is a man. He is a detective, and he is good at what he does. Both the movie and the TV series is great.
Yes, and they were talking in the chat. Was it a show or a TV? And it was both, as they correctly point out. But
Yep.
this is one of those films that I've only ever seen once, but it did leave an impression. So just going through this list, I'm thinking, some of these films I really need to rewatch because they are so damn good.
They are good, and they're slices of Americana at those specific times in history that with things that have been going on the past few years, they're coming around again, which is sad. But we need to have movies like this to remind us that yes, this movie dealing with segregated South or bigotry of some parts of the South and helping people overcome it, or the things that Sidney Poitier's character has to deal with, Mr. Tibbs has to deal with, even though he is a cop, he is a detective, and he knows what he's doing, and not only proving himself to everybody else, but also gaining respect.
Absolutely. And everyone's saying, watch it again, Purple. I absolutely will. I promise. I've only ever seen the film, so I have not seen the show, but I might search that out as well. Absolutely.
Well, the TV show has Carol O'Connor as the Southern sheriff. And oh man, Carol O'Connor was so good. If you don't recognize the name, he was Archie Bunker in All in the Family. He would call Meathead a meathead. And he had the perfect name for Meathead because he really is a meathead.
I love this. Not only getting to look at these fantastic films, but getting reminded of why we love them in the first place. And, again, look at this lineup. And then it goes again on into more Studio Ghibli with Spirited Away, which I know is a firm favorite for a lot of people.
Yep. And it's a Miyazaki joint once again. And it's one that you got to see you got to see. It's a must watch, whether you get the Steelbook or if you have it, you can watch it on HBO Max if you happen to have it. But this is one that I think you need to see on the big screen. The animation in it is to die for. It really is.
Absolutely. And October looks a little bit light at the moment, but don't worry, guys, because as Brandon correctly said, they will be adding a lot more content as we get closer. The same with November, which is why it's so sparse at the moment. But I can't imagine, what's going to be added. But this is another incredibly important film, like we were talking about, To Kill a Mockingbird, the 60th anniversary.
Yep. Everyone should read To Kill a Mockingbird, and everyone should watch To Kill a Mockingbird, if for no other reason than the fact that these lunatics out there are wanting to ban it and burn it, precisely because it does deal with how things were for the time frame that the book and the movie are set in, and how to overcome the bigotry and the prejudice, and why it is important to have equal justice under the law, not under man, like how some people are wanting to make it to become, where if you have a certain type of pigmentation in your skin, you get certain benefits or you don't. And it doesn't matter which way it goes. If we are either going to be equal under the law or we're not. And if we're not, then we're no better than anarchists.
Absolutely. Yes.
So yes. And Gregory Peck is just a badass actor. He was so good in everything he did.
He
so
was.
Good.
I think people don't realize, especially from a younger generation, if they've never seen this film, just how important it is. And the book, obviously, by Harper Lee, but this is a fantastic performance. It's one of those ones that I think everybody should watch at least once. And Warm Monkey says, Mockingbird was my #1 favorite book during my schooling. Loved it. I did too when I first read it. It really did leave a lasting impression on me.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I did read that in high school, but I think we also did a in-class performance of it, if I remember correctly. And then this is a strange movie. This is an interesting movie. This is a movie that when it came out did not get the love, respect, or adoration that it deserved. And it wasn't until its a trademark or its copyright expired. It wasn't until then that it got picked up by American Movie Classics. If you remember, for you in the US that had cable TV in the 80s and 90s, American Movie Classics, they were commercial free, and all they pretty much played were black and white movies. They picked this up and they played it, and once they started doing that, this movie took off and became a cult classic. And it is a good film. It is a excellent Christmas movie. It is a story about perseverance, doing the right thing, not backing down, or not compromising on your core principles for the sake of expediency.
Mm-hmm.
This is a close to perfect film as it gets from the time frame. Plus, you just can't go wrong with Jimmy Stewart.
Yes,
And Donna Reed.
Donna Reed, exactly. Yeah, both of them great leads. But a lot of people, for whatever reason, seem to think that this film is incredibly corny and it doesn't get the love that it deserves. But I think it's a fantastic film. I think a lot of people are put off because it is black and white. It's quite a long film, but it really is uplifting. It's a great film.
It really is. It really truly is. And
was it
definitely you owe it to yourself to see it
as well, if I remember correctly?
I'm sorry?
Was it Henry Travers as well, if I remember correctly? That was Clarence.
Ooh, you think I'd remember, but I don't.
Yeah, I think it
Plus,
was.
Plus, remember that whenever a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
But I think it's a wonderful film, and it's one of those films that I have about half a dozen Christmas films that I always watch, and this is definitely in the rotation. It's things like Die Hard, obviously, because it's a Christmas film. It's a Wonderful Life. I love Nightmare Before Christmas and Muppets Christmas Carol. Those are my go-to Christmas films.
Oh yes. So yeah, December will fill out, and I'm pretty sure we'll have other Christmas classics, and that'll probably make a pop up. But if you live in a town that has a locally owned theater, talk with the theater operator or the owner and ask them what it would take to get certain classic films and to do things like this. Either movies that are the period specific for Christmas time, or that. Ask them what it would take to get a copy of that in there, and to see if there would be enough buzz to get enough people to make it worth their time to obtain it and to show it. Most of these places now run on a digital system where they either have a hard drive shipped to them, or with internet being as good as it is now, literally just downloading it directly that way, or having it be streamed. As long as they have enough bandwidth, that all of that can be done. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Before we wrap up, we've gone through a fantastic list of films, and some of them have very important anniversaries coming up. Is there anything that wasn't on that list that you would absolutely love to see once more on the big screen? I know a lot of people have said, they'd love to see a marathon of the Lord of the Rings extended edition, which has been done a couple of times. I'd love to see Jurassic Park again, that sort of thing.
Yeah, in my mind, there's only one Jurassic Park, and that's Jurassic Park. I would love to see that on a much higher end system than what I did the first time. Mm-hmm. So that one, of course, Lord of the Rings extended, uber ridiculous, your tailbone's going to want to murder you edition. And there's probably others, but as far as what, I know. I would love to see Ghost in the Shell up on the big screen.
That's a really good one. Oh, Akira, yes. That's I saw that film when I was probably younger than I should have been, and it's quite disturbing, but a fantastic film. Absolutely. There's quite a few of us that I'd love to see. Things like Jaws, I think, is a great film.
That would be fun. And any of them from that, any of them from that era of the filmmaker. Anything from Hitchcock, I would love to see up on the screen. Anything from Kubrick, well, with the exception of Eyes Wide Shut, unfortunately, that's one of those films that is probably closer to real life than what we care to think about. But most of Kubrick's work is worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course other directors like George Lucas, love to see all of his stuff the way the original cuts, not this Disney-fied crap. So yes, I'm sorry, Purple. Go ahead.
Oh, I just to say absolutely. There is once you kind of start thinking about it, we have so many incredible films over the years that could be brought back, and if current films aren't doing it, then if that's what it takes to get people back in the cinema, then I think this is a fantastic idea. Um, and let me say a massive thank you to Nay Nay Nay. Great to see you. He says, thanks for having a quite sensible guest. Well, thank you. Yeah, Brandon is always a wonderful guest,
Well,
especially
thank you.
for anime recommendations. But I also know he's very knowledgeable when it comes to films.
Oh yes, I anime is the thing that I focus on these days because of how bad most Western made stuff is now. But when you talk about things from the past or specific shows that are very culturally significant, yeah, I do try to be as knowledgeable as I can about it. So thank you. I definitely appreciate that.
Absolutely. We've got some fantastic recommendations in the chat as well. Great to see you, Dragon Rouge. Said, I'd love to see the first Pokemon movie just for the feels. I remember
Hmm.
that. That was a good film. I was surprised, and that was, when the Pokemon craze was at its highest. I really liked it. I thought it was a good film. That shouldn't be says the only actual Jurassic Park is the book by that Michael Crichton
Michael
wrote.
Crichton. Yeah.
Good book,
Yeah.
but quite a deviation. The film went away from that. Absolutely. Cam, great to see you. Says if you don't watch It's a Wonderful Life, it's not Christmas. Thank you, Purple and Brandon. You're welcome. Great to see
You
you.
betcha.
Psychodorf is right there with you with Akira.
Yes. To answer TZ Burton, yes, that is early Japanese animation for Speed Racer. So yes, it is.
And Jim the Viking's got a great one as well. Johnny Mnemonic would be one I'd love to see in cinema today.
Oh yes.
Fantastic.
There's a lot of these cult classics that at the time they were but have got that status that it would be fun to see. That would be fun to see back on the screen. And here's some good ones. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Any of the westerns of the
Mm-hmm.
time that were awesome would be good. And then Once Upon a Time in the West, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
I
So,
would love to
so many
see.
good
I would love to
films.
see My Name Is Nobody.
Oh.
That's a spaghetti westerns.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's got Henry Fonda in it, and he's about the only English speaker, so everything else is dubbed. But the main character who he goes by the name of Nobody. He really is the nobody,
Mm-hmm.
but he is a gunslinger extraordinaire. It's a fun film.
I can't remember if I've seen that, but my favourite was always Outlaw Josie Wales. I love that
Yes,
film.
yeah. Anything Clint Eastwood is should be seen.
Oh my gosh. Guys, let me say thank you, first of all, to Brandon for being such a fantastic co host this morning. Loved getting to talk about these films, and it's really eye opening to see these amazing events that are going to be put on. And hoping that at least some of them you guys will get to see. And if you do, I'd love to know what you thought of it, as they really do seem to be, going all out with not only the films that they're picking, but the genres as well, which is really impressive.
Yes, that it is. That it definitely is. So I would also suggest, for the book lovers out there, go to barnesandnoble.com and do a search on banned books. You would be surprised what books have been banned in schools and which ones have not. Most of them that are on here, they absolutely should not be banned, and there are a few of them that I don't believe are appropriate for kids until they're 10 or 18. Once you're 18, I don't care what you read. You could read the most out there thing in the world, doesn't matter, but in school is a little different story. But some of them are things that we read and things that you should read. Even if you don't agree with the political message of it that some of these books have, they're still an important read.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think there's any such thing as a banned book. There are bad ideas and bad books, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't read them and form your own opinions on them.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So, guys, I hope that you had some fun. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. I love getting to talk films. I love getting to talk positive, and this has been a really uplifting and positive show today. I'm really excited, especially for some of these films that are upcoming. So Let me say once more a huge thank you to Brandon, a massive thank you to everybody in the chat today. You guys were on fire as always. Thank you so much for the super chats, the super stickers, the member chats, and to our newest member. Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. Brandon, before we wrap up, what have you got coming up?
Well, I'm working on. I've got a video that I'm going to have out for Tuesday. I wanted to have one for today, but things just didn't work out. Other than that, Anime 101 Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific for you West Coast peeps, and just check in on my channel each day. If I have a new clip or a new video out, they typically come out about 1 hour. 1 hour before Purple normally goes live, or on Tuesdays or Thursdays, I typically do longer form videos that typically pop up at around 10 p.m. or not 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Eastern time. So just bookmark my page, bookmark Purple's page, check in every now and then and see what's new.
Absolutely. And Brandon has a fantastic channel, so please, if you're not subscribed, Debug Martin has been kind enough to put the link in the chat, and it's also in the link below in the description. Guys, we've got a lot going on today. I know there is a lot of people streaming. One of our good friends, Adega Outlaw, has a very important series of streams that are currently going on. I think he's got 3 or perhaps 4, depending today. So if we could go jump across and show him some support throughout the day, I'd be really, really appreciative. He's launching his books, and some of them are being launched in hardback for the very first time. So we're very, very proud of him.
Yes, definitely check him out. Definitely check in with all your favorite content creators and see what they've got new going on.
Absolutely. So, guys, I will be back on Wednesday on this channel. We've got MB Geek will be joining. We're talking about fantastic book to film adaptations and which ones work, which ones didn't work. So really looking forward to that. I am lucky enough to be joining Salty Texas and Zax and the guys tomorrow night on Salty's channel. We have a fantastic, again, uplifting stream where we talk pop culture and just have a great time. So lots of stuff coming up this week. We're going to have more videos out as well. And I think on Friday, we might have a very special announcement for you guys. So it's a case of watch this space. But I want to say thank you to everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care, whatever it is you're doing, and we will see each other again very soon. Thank you, guys.
Take care, y'all.